Hello, everybody, and welcome to Boss Talks, episode 92. We have a great guest for you today, James Spearman. He's with Village Green. He's a property management professional, property manager with them, and he's out of the great state of Michigan, the Denver metro area. And we're going to talk about some great things that he has to share, kind of getting back to basics and getting back to the passion of this job, but also like he's gone through some things. At the age of 25, he went and had a heart attack, which I wouldn't hope on anyone, but at the age of 25 isn't something you would expect. And obviously, there's a lot of life lessons there to glean from that for him and for us. So I'm super excited to have James and talk about life and property management and all the things we got going on in this world. So before we get there, I'm your host, Evan Happel. I'm with Community Boss, and we have a great solution for you when it comes to parking, amenities, and mapping. We are a prop tech company. We provide you with software to manage those physical spaces and make it a better place for your residents to live and kind of more in a fair environment, really enjoy where they live because it's self-service and easy to do so. We can even help you generate some revenue. So if you need to up that NOI and increase some of that value of your community, I know we're in a time where rents aren't skyrocketing like they used to. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. And I think it's time. So James, let's get right to it. James, thanks for being here, man.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Evan. This is amazing, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to have you. You were a recommendation by Alicia Holmes. She was a guest. I think it's been like a year plus now, which is crazy to think that I can say that. But she was great to have on the show. And anybody that Alicia recommends, I definitely want to have on the show. So thanks for being here.
My pleasure, man. Big shout out to Alicia. Thank you, Alicia.
Yeah, heck yeah. And I know you just said you were hanging out with her last night, actually. You were helping her do some things. She's doing some moving and whatnot.
Yeah, she's painting the wall. She needs some help
Okay.
needed some help with somebody getting up on a ladder. So I risk my life and my time to help her out. That's what friends do. So
That's great. That's great. That's great. And kind of how did you guys meet? I mean, obviously in the industry, but like how far back do you guys go?
So fun story about that actually.
All
So
right.
I met Alicia at a DMAA holiday party. This was year before last, so this would have been 2022.
Okay.
She actually helped coordinate that event, and I actually met Alicia by talking trash to her. So
Sounds good. Sounds great.
it was me and my old service manager. Shout out to a guy named Khalil Muhammad. Me and him just so happened to be there having a good time. My one of my former leaders for our shows, he was there as well. And I see this lady, and I'm just casually having a conversation. She's like, I'm the greatest salesperson ever. And I said, no, I'm the greatest salesperson ever. And we literally went back and forth on banter for like 25, 30 minutes. And then eventually got to the point to where I'm like, you know what? She has like a little bit of like spice about her that, I can really appreciate. Didn't hear from her again. I ended up running into her at another event. We ended up exchanging phone numbers. And, that's been one of my good friends ever since, man.
That's awesome. Did she try to sell you some shoes?
Or so she tried. Fun fact, this lady actually tried to sell me my own property.
Nice.
Yes. So at this point, I was actually managing a community in Troy. It's a high-rise A-list property, and she came and she would visit, and she would literally try to outsell me to my own community. So she would literally talk to prospects and residents and try to explain to them why my company, which she did not work for, was the best company for them to actually lease an apartment. And the fun fact about it, it worked. She was actually that good. So I couldn't say anything. I just sat back and let her do her stuff and then get from there. So I guess to answer her question, is she really good? She's amazing at sales. Is she better than me? But that's still in the air.
Guess you guys maybe that needs to be an NAA event where we have like salespeople going after each other when it comes to leasing apartments.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I can for sure get behind that.
That'd be fun. It'd be the next reality TV show, I think.
You know what? As long as I'm getting compensated fairly financially, I am about the money.
Okay. All right.
I can get behind that for sure.
Yeah. I mean, if there was a show, it's kind of like we have The Office, and we have shows like Superstore, which was in like a fake Walmart and stuff like that. I
Mhm.
mean, I think there could be a show circling around a community, like an apartment community, and like the leasing office and all the residents and shenanigans that go on at a community.
Let me tell you something, man. If I could, I would go buy a GoPro and I would literally wear it on my head the entire day, and I would just walk around the office in the community and literally make money off of just the reality TV, because you'll be surprised some of the most entertaining stories I've ever had in my life has been doing this job. And this is why I love it so much. But you meet some of the most entertaining, let's just say it like that, personalities that you'll ever meet in your life being in this office and doing this job. I love
Yeah,
it. It'd be
yeah.
kind of like you ever see, I don't know, I'm kind of giving away my age here, but you ever see Legends of the Hidden Temple?
You'll have to jog my memory. What
It's
is?
an old Nickelodeon game show for
Oh,
kids.
yeah.
There used to be
Yeah,
a rock right there, and they used to
yeah,
actually have to answer questions and then actually go through this maze at the end. I feel like I could do something like that within our community, where I'm just
yeah.
going through and just kind of like, hey, find this, and then I get scared by somebody who hasn't paid their rental time or something like whatever it could
That's funny. Yeah,
be.
for sure.
Yeah.
No, I think there'd be a lot of material for a legit show regarding that, but
Yeah,
for sure.
1,000%. Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, we'll get into more here shortly, but I wanted to ask you a few questions. First of all, when it comes to building community in the more social, personal, and professional sense, how is it that you approach it?
Great question. So for me, I have tried to master the concept of being my undeniable self all the time, to my residents, to my vendors, to my team, to my leaders. That way, when it comes down to actually having conversations, I don't have to think, I can react. And what I mean by that, when it comes to building a community, you have to treat it as exactly what it is, a community. I feel like in our profession, there is a unconscious rift between the property management team and the residents themselves, where it's up to us as property management professionals to bring that closer together. And the best way to do that is by being your undeniable self. I'm goofy, I'm corny, I'm one of those cats where I will sit there and send an email out to the entire community and give out every dad joke that I have just to get the laugh. Because when they come into the office and they have a serious conversation, we can joke about that after. And to add to that, one of the things I also do is try to send a follow-up email and a follow-up video. So just like me and you are talking on camera, I like to be on camera with my residents and with my future residents to get them to get an understanding of who I am as a person. It's that extra personal touch that shows them without saying it, this is a community. I'm not your landlord. You're not a tenant. You're a resident in a community that you pay good money to live. And it's my fiduciary responsibility to make sure that you are comfortable to the best of my ability.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I applaud you for just being yourself, because first of all, and that goes without saying, I try to be myself, because I if I was trying to keep up a front or an image or a persona all the time, like I already get exhausted with all this because I'm an introvert. So if I had to do that too, I
Yeah.
tell you what, I would be so tired, because you're always like, wait, am I representing the person, the fake person that I am?
Right, right. And you know what's funny, Evan? I'm the exact same way. I'm also an introvert. When I clock out and I go home, I like being by myself. I like sitting by my fireplace, going outside, playing with my son, and I really kind of stay away from people until I come into the office. But when I get here and the cameras are on, who you get is who you're always going to get. And you take that as you will. But I feel like my method has provided more good than bad, simply based on the fact that you know what you're getting when you talk to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like you're faking it. It's just that when you go home, you're tired.
Yes, exactly. 9, 10 hours a day of doing this, man. Look,
Yeah,
you'll get to
yeah,
you.
no, yeah. This is this is just the difference between the introvert extrovert. Like somebody in your same job that's an extrovert, they're like energized. They go home, they're like, "Yeah, let's go,"
Do it again.
and like you're just like, "All right, well, we're gonna watch some sports."
Exactly. No, no, trust me, you get it. You understand. Not very many people do, Evan. Not very many people truly understand. Like being an introvert doesn't necessarily make you a bad person. You just know that at some point you have to clock out. You're a human being. You
Yeah,
can't always be on camera for everybody, right? You know?
right, right. Yeah, it's one of those things all about the energy and how you get it.
Right.
And there's certain activities that someone may enjoy but be very tiring. And then you got to recharge, but your recharge means being away from everyone.
Right.
Like,
And the beautiful thing about that, when I come back the next day, you have my full energy and my full
yeah,
attention. So let me go ahead and get my rest. Leave me alone for about a couple hours, and I come on
yeah,
back and
yeah.
we'll start this all over
That's right.
again.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, thanks for answering the question. And then next up, to follow up with that, we have hospitality. So I like to say hospitality is best served with some food. So what would you serve up for somebody to really show you care?
Oh, you asking my real food menu? Don't
Oh
don't get me
yeah.
started, man. You know I cook
Yeah,
for
yeah.
real.
Yep.
So my favorite thing to cook for anybody, I love pasta. I'm a pasta guy. I grew up learning how to cook off of Food Network. When I was a kid, I was one of those kids who would literally sit there and watch um, what is this one guy. He was from New Orleans. I forget his name, but anyway, a I would watch one of those shows and I would take
Yeah.
a notebook and write down every single recipe. And I wouldn't do anything with the recipes. My mom would never let me get in the kitchen. But when I got older and I actually had a kitchen of my own, I immediately started trying to cook. So much so, I worked in the restaurant industry for 10 years, all through college and a few years like after it. So anybody who comes over my house, that's my way of displaying who I am by cooking. Literally that. So it's funny you asked that question. If I have to cook anything for anybody any particular day, I'm going to go with a pasta of some sort. So probably a carbonara or maybe an Alfredo of some nature. And then if I can't do that, I'm crazy about seafood boils. How does that play into hospitality? You might ask. Um, like the best way to anybody's heart is through the stomach, right?
Yeah.
So for me, like that's just one of those things to where it's like I love to do it. I've done potlucks actually in my communities before. Last year for one of my summer parties, I actually cooked for 80 of our residents. I did burgers, hot dogs, shish kebabs, a vegan meats. I did like a vegetarian patties, whatever the nature. And I did all the prep work by myself. So for 2 days straight, I'm in the kitchen, I'm cooking. And when I tell you those residents loved it, they still talk about it to this day. And I'm not even at that community anymore. So that's hospitality for you right there. Simply based off of just
Absolutely.
something that I bring to my heart that I can bring to the plate and people love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said for not only the food, but also the way you present it, and like all of it is really speaking like, oh man, you put a lot of time and attention
Hmm.
into this for me.
Hmm. And it kind of goes against the grain of what traditional property management professionals will do because they tell us all the time, try to keep your relationship with your residents, like try to keep a line there. And I do, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, for that resident that gets a chance to see a part of me through a burger, through a hot
Yeah,
dog, like whatever the case may be, they're more willing to stop into the office to talk to me. If there's any issues whatsoever with the community, I can have a real conversation with them.
yep,
If there's a serious conversation that I need to have with them, and if you're in property management, you know what those serious conversations may be. It's a lot easier, and the sting is a lot less because you got a part of my personality, whether it's with the food, whether it's with the corny jokes, whatever the case may be. And I now, going back to our original part of our conversation, get to be my undeniable self to you because you understand where I'm coming from as a human being.
absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, it's so important to for people to see us as humans so that when you do work or do work for them, they can engage you with the lens of, okay, I like James. James is a good guy. Anything he's serving up to me from a like regarding my lease or whatever. He has my best interest. I know that he isn't shady. He's not trying to pull something over on me because he's a good dude.
You get it. I actually just had a conversation with a previous resident, actually yesterday, kind of just going over, just something simple as the security deposit and why the gentleman is not getting a refund check. And normally that would be a very strong conversation to where it's like, okay, it's going to get tense in here. We're not going to have we're going to argue. We're going to fight. But with this particular resident, once again, being able to introduce myself and be a human being to him, by the time we actually did sit down and talk, he understood the why. He got it. He actually paid the rest of his remaining dues right then and there, and we shook hands. We walked out of here, and he sends me an email thanking me for the entire process. Now, this is a guy who I just straight up told, "I'm not giving you any money. In fact, you owe me money." But in such a way to where he can now feel good about it leaving, and I didn't lie to the guy. I wasn't rude or arrogant. I was literally just me talking to me as if I was me. If that makes sense.
Totally, yeah. No, makes sense. Basically being to others as you want them to be to you, right? Like
exactly
serving up exactly what you would want and how you'd want to be treated. No, that makes sense. No, there's it's one of those things we forget, it's like, would I want to be talked to that way? Like, like it's so important for you to like put yourself in the shoes of another person and how would they respond to this?
You know what? I think about it like this. They always say, what's the old saying? Like you attract more with honey than you do with vinegar. I boil it down to this. If you want things done, it's your fiduciary responsibility to be the best human being that you could possibly be to get it done. Now, mind you, let me say this part, Evan. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes just like any other person on the planet would make a mistake. I own up to my actions. One of my former teams, we used to always say like this, I'm a thumb pointer, not a finger pointer. So if I do make a mistake, that's part of that recipe, right? I can own up to that. I can actually have a conversation with you. I can apologize. We can move forward. But I can also, because I own up to my mistakes, hold you accountable for owning up to yours by simply being the best person I can possibly be.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I love that. And when it comes to the final question, and then we'll get into it, your caffeinated beverage of choice, super important. Fuel for the day. Especially when you're an introvert and you need, that extra kick or whatever. What is your go-to?
Oh man. So I'm not a gym rat, okay? So I don't work out every single day, but I do work out consistently. I probably work out 3-4 times a week, and I always drink a C4. I don't know if you know what those are. They're kind of there's like 200 milligrams of caffeine, not a whole lot of sugar. I don't think there's any sugar in it at all. And it's one of those pick-me-up drinks. Now, mind you, it's not healthy, so I should probably lay off of those at some point. Especially when we get to talking about what we're going to talk about a little bit later. I do try to make sure I do count my caffeine, but I'll drink one of those on the way into the office. That'll get me going until about like 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon. By that time, it's time for me to finish up anyway. I'm out the door. I'm getting ready for gym, and I might have half of another one or maybe like some pre-workout.
Yeah. I would recommend you pump the brakes on the caffeine. So as much as you may want some caffeine, probably not too much caffeine, but yeah. I actually, funniest thing, I wasn't really one to drink a lot of like energy drinks, but Costco, they sell it by the 24 pack. So I'm like, oh yeah, we'll try this out. So I had some in the fridge and I was drinking one a day and coffee. And I was like, man, I kind of feel like garbage. I think I should probably not do that.
You're a wild boy, Evan. You're a wild guy.
Wild. Getting wild. Yeah. Yeah. Me and
I'm missing not going to apartmentalize and hang with you, man, if that's what you're
doing. Drinking caffeine and caffeinated beverages over here. Yeah, I'm a wild child. When we get to apartmentalize, whoo. No, not really. I by the end of apartmentalize, I'm so spent that I just, oh man, it is a tiring experience.
And I heard, unfortunately, like I said, I won't be able to go this year, but next year, I do have plans ongoing. And all the stories I hear it's almost like the Coachella of apartment property management, right?
Yeah, well, it's similar. They say there's no tired like Disney tired. It's similar to apartmentalized. I think there's no
Yeah,
tired like apartmentalized tired
because
because
you're
you're
physically tired, but your mind is going in so many because there's so much stuff going
oh,
on
there's so
all at
much you
once.
can do. There's all these parties. There's the early mornings. There's all day long learning and expo, and it's just so much.
I get it. Trust me, I get it. I'm excited for next year though. I heard
Yeah.
it's supposed to be in Vegas. I don't know if that's true.
Wow. Okay. That's going to be a whole nother level then.
You got the caffeine for it? So you got the Red Bull for
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, that's whew, okay. All right.
that?
Well, yeah, we'll see how that goes. I always question when we have any convention in Vegas. It just seems like a bad idea.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
they all, everybody tends to go there. They have all the facilities, so it is what it is. But yeah,
Maybe
it's
the tagline for apartmentalized next year is whatever happens in Vegas.
well. Plus, I mean, I mean, it's not dead of summer, but it's late June, so gosh, it's gonna be hot.
Oh yeah. Oh, in Vegas. Oh, you can only imagine. I mean, even up here right now in Michigan, it's about like 65 to 70 degrees, but the humidity where I'm at, I'm literally right off of the Detroit River. So it feels like it's like 80, 85, and this is what May the 29th. So imagine having that dry heat down in Vegas in the middle of June. That's a true 90 degrees, man. And
Yeah, you don't go outside for more than like, I mean, you probably avoid it even to get from hotel to hotel, like go underground or get an Uber just to go a block. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's
I'm still going though.
oh, we'll be there too. I mean,
Something everything.
yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Well, I think it's time to get right into your story and kind of how you've jumped, as you said, kind of from the restaurant industry where you spent a good amount of time. It's not like it was a afterthought part of your life. It was, you said 10 years. I mean, that's a chunk of time. And but then things happened. So I'd love to just know and understand for myself and others, you know, what it is that took place during that period and what happened to you that
Yeah.
kind of also helped make a pivot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, like I said, I appreciate the platform and even be able to tell my story. So, I U of M graduate, right out of college, I went right into the restaurant industry because, at that point in time, it was an easy job to get, right? Like those who can do cook is what they said back in the day, but um, some of the most clutch professionals, some of the people with some of the best skill sets I've ever met in my life came from the restaurant industry, believe it or not. And those guys work their tails off to do what they do. With that being said, started off, I was working at Buffalo Wild Wings. I was, a fry cook, I'm just frying wings. And I want to say probably 6 months after getting that job, one of my buddies, who's actually one of my competitors now, just so happened to reach out to me. He said, "Hey, you ever thought about property management?" I'm like, "What's that?" Never knew what it was. He's like, "It's
Right.
sales. Like, this is your degree in business administration?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "But no, still, what is that?" He's like, "Come take a look." So we go to this property that he's at, and I'm just watching him operate. I'm watching him do his thing, and he's leasing his tail off, and residents are loving this guy, and he's all smiles, they're all smiles. And this it seemed like it was almost like a utopia job. So I was like, oh yeah, this is amazing. I didn't care about the pay. I could tell you at that point, I was making slightly above minimum wage with no commission. And it was just one of those jobs where it looked like it was cool. So I ended up actually getting hired in as a leasing specialist at another property within the same company. And me and this gentleman, we went back and forth as far as like top leasing specialists for almost the entire of a year between me and him. And we would sometimes we would lease at the same property together. Sometimes we would compete. And, we also did our marketing and outreach and all of that. At the same time, I'm also cooking in the restaurant. Now, mind you, I'm
Wow.
working 45 hours. So Monday through Saturday, 45 hours at the property. And then I'm working another 25, 30 at the restaurant because at this point, fun fact about me, I have a very unhealthy relationship with work. I love to work. It's more about the money as opposed to just me having a why and having something to do. So with that being said, I started to burn myself out on both sides of the candle, if you will. Um, Ended up dealing with some personal issues at the exact same time, and I want to say it was Christmas week of 2015. Um, I'm hanging out with my friends. A few of them leave, except for a couple of people, and I have a heart attack in my sleep. And by the grace of the Most High, one of my friends was an EMT. So,
Wow.
yep, she resuscitates me. She gets me back. I end up having a seizure immediately after. Obviously, they call 911. 911 comes, resuscitate me, hit me with the defibrillator, get me back on. And then I have another seizure on the way to the hospital. I was put in a coma for 3 days. Doctor said that if I would have had one more seizure, I'd be a vegetable right now.
Wow.
Had they would have been, according to the doctors, 5 seconds behind, I would have died. And for me, you know, I didn't understand life. Still don't understand life. I'm only 34, right? I didn't understand life, or why I do what I do, or why I live the way I live. I just wanted to make money, hang out with friends, and like just live my life. And that heart attack put a stop on everything. Like when I tell you put a pause on my life, it put a pause on my life. It's a testimony because the heart attack actually occurred on Christmas Eve. I woke up on my birthday, which is December 27th. Um, when I woke up, I didn't know what happened. I didn't know why I was there. I didn't know what happened. So the story I'm giving to you is a story that my sister and my friends who were with me at that point in time, this is what they told me. I had to learn how to walk again. I had short-term memory loss, and I was in the hospital for about a month. And it was the prayers of my family, the prayers of the church that I was attending at the time, and the prayers and care of my friends that I firmly believe brought me back. Um, Unfortunately, because of that, I actually had to have a surgery. So I do have a defibrillator on my left side that I do have to get replaced every 7 years. So I just got to replace last year. And of course, I had to learn how to walk and get my memory back and all of that. And doctors told me that I needed to be sitting down for 3-4 months. No, sir. I went back to work 2 weeks later because I had apartments to lease, man. And for me, for me, I felt that the more that I spent at home, I wouldn't even live in my house after that. My sister moved me out of my apartment, moved me into home with her and her husband, and I appreciate them as well. And I knew for me, I got to get back on my feet. I got to get back to living my life. I got to get out of here, and that's what I did. 2 weeks later, I'm back up. I'm back at it, and I'm back moving. But because of that, I learned a very valuable lesson that may seem to be corny, but when you lived it the way I've lived it, then you understand that I had to learn how to love, laugh, and live all over again. For me, I had to learn not to take myself so serious as a person, as a man, because everything about me was dollar, dollar, dollar. I got to go out and we call it getting the bag. I got to go, I got to get the bag. I got to do this. I got to do that. I had to learn to calm down. I had to learn to enjoy life as it was happening. I had to learn how to live all over again. And what I mean by that is I had to learn how to be a better human being because truth be told, I wasn't my best self at that point in time. I did some things I wasn't proud of. I did some things I was proud of, but I was very immature, very much so at that point in my life. And I had to learn how to laugh. I had to learn how to just enjoy the company that's around me. Once again, I take myself so serious, but learn how to be a human being. Learn how to be able to sit down and have these conversations with you and tell my story and we were joking about it before we went on the air, not make it so statistical, not make it black and white and what's on paper, dollars and cents. And because of that, I am grateful to be alive today. And I'm grateful for the friends that, God has put into my life, and being able to be a part of this platform, and getting given this opportunity to, like do what I do best and do this something that I love. And I had to learn how to even love that. But that's my story, man. That's my why. It was that was would be 10 years ago next year.
Wow.
Um, and to this day, every anniversary right around that time of year, I sit and I talk to my family, and they'll check in on me to ask how I'm doing, and we'll kind of like go back over it. And my sister, for testimony to herself, she actually has pictures of me in the hospital. And I never seen those pictures, and I don't ever want to see those pictures because I never want to see how I looked at that point in time. But even she mentions it, she's like, we thought we lost you.
Yeah.
We thought it was over. And it was because of prayer that brought back. Never forget who you are. And I live that to this very day.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing, man. I can only imagine like what it's because I've never been through that. I mean, I've been through things where like health wakes you up a little bit, but never to the point where I literally died and had to be brought back multiple times essentially. And like it was to the point where if one more seizure, that would have been the end of it. And like to
Hmm.
be on this side of that and to know all that happened during that period where you weren't even awake, um, that is something where it's like, people always wonder like what would happen if I died? Like how would people react? Like who would come to my funeral, or like would people care even? Like those are always those things that people wonder, and it's like no, they do, and it's like and that now, but it's like you don't really ever want to know that. Like I mean,
True. And there's an old saying that my brother-in-law used to tell me all the time, and I used to laugh at it, but it wasn't funny. And the joke the way he used to say to me was, he's like, "You're gonna find out in life, there's more people that's gonna come to your funeral than to your wedding." And for me, the flip side of that coin is I had to understand that some people just weren't meant to be in my life. And some
Mhm.
people were holding me back while some people were pushing me forward. And I was getting it twisted because I'm looking at the people who are coaching me, who are giving me education, free game, if you will. And I'm looking at them wrong because they're talking to me some kind of way. And I don't like the way they're talking to me. And I'm going to tell you something about yourself because the way you're talking to me, not understanding the message that they're giving me. And because of that, I had to learn that these people genuinely care. And then there's some people who are telling you everything that you want to hear and everything that makes you feel good.
Mm,
Those are the ones that you have to watch out for.
mhm.
And with that, that saying made so much sense. There's more people that's going to come to my funeral than the ones that are going to come to my wedding. Because some people don't want to see you succeed. Some people don't want to see you win. And there's a lot of people that you don't know about that actually do. And it's up to you in life to figure out the difference between the two.
Yeah. I mean, because at the end of the day, a wedding is a party, and people love to party, and they
Facts.
will for sure come and suck all your money away from you
Mm-hmm.
to have a good
Absolutely.
time, right? Like they
Yep.
may or may not care. I'm sure they care, but at the same time, like, oh, you're having alcohol? It's free? Okay.
I'm done. Trust me. No, absolutely. And that's where maturity is an ongoing process. I don't feel like any set person has an age dictating when they're now mature and when they're
Yeah.
now wise. Another saying, and I'm a man of many sayings, has always been a wise man has always learned that a wise man knows nothing. So for me, I'm always learning. I'm always living. I'm always laughing. I'm always looking to improve my life. And I'm looking to get, as my old team would say, 1% better every single day by simply just being the best human being I possibly can be, by asking questions, which allows me to be coachable, and by realizing that there was a part of my life where I hit literal rock bottom,
Yeah.
and God put me out of that. So if I can do that, then anything else that's being challenged and put in front of me, I can be great at and I can succeed at that as long as I follow those three simple steps.
Yeah, for sure. So what are some takeaways, like, almost we're getting to 10 years after this event, life changing, obviously. Um, what are some things that you've taken away from that, like ongoing? Because I mean, before that, you were working so much, and I know you still have the drive and all that, and you want to be successful in sales. You love that whole game, but what is it that you've had to like put in perspective for yourself that is still an ongoing, sometimes struggle, but like you put it in perspective?
That's a great question. First things first, it's not just about me. Before the heart attack, I was looking for me, James Spearman. I cared about James Spearman. Like whatever I did had to benefit me first and foremost, and I just didn't care about anybody else. The perks of walking out of that situation is, I'm blessed with two kids. I got two boys, two sons. One's 5 years old, one is a year and a half, and now I do things I do for them, even when I don't think it that way. And it's another corny like way of, like some people say this, but for me, everything that I do is literally for them. They're my legacy. When I'm long gone and when it's all said and done, the biggest thing that I could ever give them isn't money, isn't anything tangible. It's something with my name attached to it that they can tell a story about. So honestly, that heart attack pushed me to drive more. It built even more drive in me. And mind you, I still work a lot, but I don't work nearly as incoherent as I did back then. And what I mean by that is I don't work unconsciously. I don't work without a why. If I do something, I have a reason for doing it. Coming to the community I came to now, there's a why behind it. Even the things that I do with my other jobs, even the things I do with the Detroit Metro Apartment Association, there's a why behind me doing all of those things. And I can explain that why to anybody who asks us a question why. Um, there's that. Other takeaways for me, it kind of goes back to that live, learn, laugh. I learned not to take life so serious because you never know when you're going to get another opportunity.
Yeah.
First impressions are very important to me now. So, meeting you, my biggest hope was for you to see me as somebody qualified to be on your show, first and foremost, and you not have to ask that question while we're having our first conversation, as opposed to you got to say, "Yeah, I don't know about this guy." And it carries over to my job. Each resident, when they meet me, they see my best me. That's the reason why I'm a suit and tie kind of guy. I'm a firm handshake, make eye contact kind of guy. I'm one of those guys to where you're going to get my best foot forward as much as I possibly can. And if I make a mistake, I can apologize about that because you know who I really am. But that's only possible if you're being your undeniable self, right? So I'm being fake and I'm being fugazi. You can tell, as opposed to me genuinely trying to be a best human being and trying to show you that up front, and then you kind of seeing the rest as we go along. Now you get to see the human side of me. Those are the takeaways that I pulled out from that. And I'm pretty sure there's more if I really sat here and think about it. But quite frankly, Evan, we'd be here all day talking about it because you can't go through a life event like that and not have hours and hours of testimony. You just can't.
Yeah. Well, it's thanks for sharing all that. And I I also just think it's great to hear the people that you have in your life now, and the realization of the people that matter and the people that are just there um for the fun, right? Like, um and I think, even for myself, it's like I've there's decisions I've made where it's like I no longer have all these different people in my life, and um I've made steps out of certain things as well. And
Hmm.
but I tell you what, the whole having fun, like how I'm approaching my job and everything is with the lens of let's enjoy this. Because I used to be a completely different mindset, and I would look at people that are having a good time at work, and I was like, how does that guy do that? and I'm different now, and it's like I don't take work so seriously in the sense of like my approach, I guess.
Man, let me tell you this. My personality on paper isn't traditionally suited for the role that I play here because when you're the property manager, you're delivering the bad news, right? Like I'm the guy that tells you, hey, your rent's delinquent. It's time to pay that. Otherwise, I'm getting the course involved. Hey, no, you can't smoke on your balcony because we have a no smoking policy. But what I actually learned this from a gentleman in mortgages when I worked in mortgages years ago. And this guy, I used to call him my OG. When I tell you this man could be closing one loan a month or he'd be closing 500 loans a month, and you have the exact same upbeat, hey, what's going on? He used to call me nephew. Nephew Jay, what's up, baby? The exact same energy out of this guy every single day. That's what you got out of this gentleman. And because of that, I figured, well, heck, if he can do it and this stuff isn't bothering him, then I ain't got no excuse because he's closing 500 loans a month sometimes and I'm not. So if he has this energy, he can get away with it, I can do it. And that type of momentum also helped carry over here because I sit there and I look at my residents and I say, hey, they may come into this office and they may be upset and it's not my fault. But do I know why they're upset? Do I have a reason? And if I don't, then I have no room for me to be upset because at the end of the day, I haven't talked to them to get the why out of them. So there was something that we talked about off air. This job is the most selfless job that you can do in property management, in the property management industry. And I believe that wholeheartedly because you have to be able to be somebody's crutch at some point in your day. And the only way you could do that is by having the right attitude. And that carries over to everything, the takeaways, something that I learned through the years, through that heart attack.
Yeah. No, 100%. Like a lot of people leave the job or they get burned out from the job or whatever. But it's about approach and your expectation as to like what's your purpose and what's your why in doing the job.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Absolutely.
if the why is to, I don't know, play Lord over
Lord
these
of the
people.
Rings.
I am your master, everyone that lives here. I don't know.
No, but true. That is a stigma with our profession that I feel that a lot of industry professionals have that we have to get ourselves out of subliminally. You can't walk into a community and start just laying down the law. That's just not the way it works. That's just not how the real world works. I mean, imagine that, man. Imagine, I don't know. Imagine going to McDonald's and you're asking for a #1 Big Mac. Don't ask me how I know the menu. I'm just that good and I'm a fat kid at heart. But imagine going to ask for #1 light mac sauce, medium fries and a Coke, and the guy on the other side of the screen, absolutely not, because that's not how we do it here. And you can't get it this way, such and such and such and such. You're going to pull out the drive-through. You might, excuse my French, you might slip him one of the fingers that you're not supposed to slip him on the way out of the drive-through. That's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do with my role is show people that people generally care in this profession. People generally care on my side of the fence. And I don't care because I'm trying to show you something. I care because I get it. I'm truly trying to be the best person I possibly can be. There's that.
Yeah. And I would say that dovetails into like your leadership style as a community manager, property manager. You're trying to lead by example, to be a person that showcases your true self. Is there anything more to that story? I mean, we've kind of hit on it quite a bit, but when it comes to leadership in property management, what is it else that you wanted to say there?
Yeah, thank you for that. I lead by allowing my team to lead. And here's what I mean by that. For me to be successful and for me to accomplish my goals, I had to learn how to put trust into my team. And it wasn't always that way. I had to learn, I always tell this story. When I was in mortgages, I had a leader He actually played in the NFL for 6 years. I'm not going to say his name out loud. Great guy, excellent gentleman. Played for the Lions. Got cut by the 0-16 Lions. Actually ended up going to the Steelers that exact same year, winning the Super Bowl ring. And he coached me like a football coach. Spearman, you can't do that's called suck, like that. And I love that because I love being coached in a way to where we acknowledge where I messed up and we talk about getting it better. Simple and plain. I'm just very black and white that way. And I tried to emulate that, and I tried to bring that to my team of property management when I became a property manager. And it didn't work. The reasons why. First things first, everybody don't like to be talked to like that.
Right.
Second off, that wasn't me. That's not who I am. That's just not who I am. One day I sat down with my old assistant manager, and me and him had a conversation. I said, this is what I need from everybody to get where we need to be on occupancy, on leasing, on whatever the case may be. And I said, if you guys trust me, I actually have a play that will work. And finally, everybody started paying attention to what I was doing. Mind you, I said what I was doing, not what I was saying. So there's no job for this role. It's selfless, right? There's no job that I will not do. My housekeeper needs help vacuuming the common areas. I'm going to go help them do it. My service team needs help patching up some walls and turning an apartment. I'm going to go do that. My leasing team needs help with a close and they need somebody to add an extra team close to it. Well, I'm going to go do that. I've done everything that you could possibly do in this industry, not because somebody told me to do it, because that was what was needed. I picked up dog poop with gloves on, of course. I picked up dog poop. I picked up human stuff.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Whatever needs to get done to get where we need to be, because that shows my team that I'm not trying to lead by dictating. I'm leading in the middle. I'm delegating as need be, but I'm also understanding what's going on behind me. And in return, they watch my back. I can't do what I do without my team. That, in my eyes, is leadership. That, in my eyes, shows the difference between people who go and manage versus people who actually put the trust in their team. And if you look at these communities, those are typically the communities that flourish. Those are the ones that actually make money, simply because everybody's on one accord. One of the biggest complaints, and it was actually a compliment when I thought about it in hindsight, was when a resident came into my office one day and said, I refuse to talk to so-and-so because so-and-so is going to say the exact same thing that you said. Well, of course you will. Of course you will. We're part of the same team. We're the same one accord. We're both going to communicate you and tell you the exact same thing. You're not going to break us up. And when residents understand that, not trying to make this a this versus them thing, but when residents understand that, not only is the respect there, but the camaraderie, the understanding, the appreciation. And when your residents begin to appreciate your team, selling the community is easy. I can say in my history, I've never worked in a horrible looking community. I've never worked in a bad looking property. But there are some properties that sell better than others, simply based off the fact that the team was broken up. The maintenance guy doesn't like the leasing person. The property manager doesn't like the leasing person or the service guy, so on and so forth. Once we got rid of that and we became a true team and I was able to lead that team by example, that's when my properties took off. And that's the exact same thing I plan on doing even with the community I'm at right now. It's instilling a level of team effort into it. I'm not sure if you're a football guy.
Yeah.
You kept up with them Lions. You saw how we did it last year?
I mean, I saw what you guys did. Yeah. I'm over here in Seattle, though, so it's, it's like, yeah, okay.
Well, I understand. Yeah, this way to next year, Super Bowl, no big deal.
Yeah.
I am the Dan Campbell to my Detroit Lions. I have an offensive coordinator, so I have a Ben Johnson. I have an Aaron Glenn, and my job is to allow them to run plays. My Ben Johnson, if there's a play that works, you execute that, and I stand behind you 10%. My Aaron Glenn, if it's a play that works, I stand behind you 10%, and I get in when you need me. I used to say it like this. My team makes my job so easy that the only thing I have to do is pay bills and talk trash. That's literally what it boils down to. And that, sir, is my true definition of leadership, because at the end of the day, I'm not getting us anywhere. We're getting us where we need to be.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's awesome that you guys have or you have helped establish a relationship with your team to build trust and to make it so that you're moving in the direction together. And I know you're new to your company and this community, but and it takes time, obviously, to
Yeah.
establish those things. But I'm sure you'll get there. And how long has it been now since specifically property management that you've been doing that?
Well, as a property manager, or just in the
Yeah,
field.
and in this industry, yeah.
So I've been in the industry. It'll be 10 years for me this year.
Okay, yeah.
Now, mind you, I took a couple of hiatuses to go do other stuff. I left for a
You
little
did
bit.
mortgages.
I did mortgages for a little bit. I went and I did
Yeah,
logistics for a little bit.
yeah,
But I always came back here
yeah.
because this is an industry that I learned to love because it loved me back. You know, I have a heart attack. 2 weeks later, I'm back in the office selling apartments. And like I said, this is home for me.
Yeah. Well, and to be frank, there isn't a lot of industries that have associations and things where you're kind of like, yeah, you work for Village Green, but you're also a part of this greater family, so to speak, of the multifamily. And
Right.
if you really invest in that, which it sounds like you have, and maybe speak to how that's been a positive for your development and also your career, being a part of the Detroit Apartment Association.
Yeah, man, the DMAA has been great. So I actually serve as chair of our membership and engagement committee. Big shout out to Peggy and Rayshawn over there. And they have allowed me to, as we talked about, be my undeniable self. And just like we're having here, I'm in our meetings. I'm talking to groups of 50 to 100 to 200 people, and I am goofy and I am corny and I am all those things. But I care about the industry as a whole. So because of that, it's allowed me to meet a lot of faces that I would have never met otherwise. Quite frankly, without going like too far into it, it's the reason why I'm here with this company is through the DMAA in hindsight.
Mm,
Heck, it's one of the reasons why I met you, Evan. Remember, me and Alicia, we met at a DMAA event. So when you boil it down, the DMAA is the reason why I'm on everybody's screens right now. Um, and it's one of those things to where I've never been a part of a frat before. I've never been a part of a clique. I've never been a part of a group. I've never really been a part of anything bigger than what I am right now. And considering that we're continuously growing right now, I believe we're 107,000 units deep, and we're continuously building upon that. I'm getting here on what I like to call the base level. And I can't wait to see what it looks like 5 to 10 years from now when I've actually established a bit of footing in the DMAA. And who knows, maybe even go and join other industries as we go along. But the DMAA has done nothing but wonders for my career and for careers of other people around me, simply based on the fact that it's a networking platform that allows me to build relationships with people such as yourself, such as Alicia, such as vendors and suppliers who I would not be able to meet otherwise, and allow me to make my job a little bit easier.
yeah, that's great. And I mirror that in the sense of, yeah, I'm a supplier, but I'm very active in our local association. I feel like there's so much to be gained from being active and building relationships. And again, it comes to the why. It's like so many people join the association, especially as a supplier, and they expect a lot. They're expecting immediate business and stuff. And it's like,
Hmm.
well, people can sense that. They can sense that you're there only for that. You don't really care about the people that you're meeting. And so
It's true.
yeah. So, I've been in it for a while, and you know, I don't I don't know how much direct I could go back to business because I don't track it. Because I don't approach it that way. It's more like I just invest.
It's the relationship thing, right, man?
Yeah.
One of my former teams, we used to always say it like this, you have to be relationship driven, not transaction driven. So for us vendors to suppliers, I'm sorry, vendors to property management professionals back and forth, the relationship is what keeps you there. The hi, how are you doing is what gets you in the door. The relationship is what keeps people sticky. So being able to build a relationship, who knows? There may come down, it may come a time later on down the line to where I do need your support. And I'm not going to call the people I don't know. I'm gonna call
Yeah.
the people I do know, but not because you give me the best rate or you give me the best product, but because we built such a relationship that you know me and I know you. It's kind of like I'm looking and reaching out to a friend. I actually have one of my favorite vendors. She actually stopped by a couple of days ago, and she just dropped me off my favorite candy. I love sour candy. It's my favorite thing to eat. I need to stop. I need to go to a dentist. But she literally bought me that, and she bought me a couple of mugs, and literally that was it. No ask for business. No, hey, what are you working on? Anything like that. Just, hey, I saw that you got to the new office. I want to stop and say hi. That's relationship building. That's what the DMAA stands for. And that's the reason why it's growing like it is, simply because people care about people.
Absolutely. Yep. We like to support people, and we like to see people succeed, I think. And when you invest in others and you succeed, you see them successful, you see them improve, it helps you do better too. But it's just nice to see other people doing well. It's like I don't sit around hoping for the downfall of others. Hopefully most people aren't doing that, but it's fun to be a part of something and being able to see people being successful. So
Right.
for sure. Well, James, I just so appreciate you being here today with me. We had, Megan here to support you. It's so great to have her. Zachary, I don't think it doesn't look like you guys know each other, but he was here to support you as well. I'm sure others were too. They were just shy today, but we so appreciate you being here, and I know that others are going to hear your story, and we'll share it, after this as well, and get an encouragement from what you went through having a heart attack, and just the life lessons out of that. So I thank you for being here, James.
Man, I appreciate it so much. This has been a blessing for me. I was so excited for this. I was nervous coming on at first, but you warmed it up. You made it like really, really comfortable for me. So, man, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, you're welcome. Most welcome. So just like James and Alicia and Megan and all those that have otherwise come, Charlotte from Michigan as well was on Boss Talks last year, right after. I think it was right. I can't even remember anymore what's going on, but I think it was right after Apartmentalize. Maybe it was before. My timeline's all over the place these days, but just like they have jumped in and jumped on Boss Talks, you too can. This is a platform for this industry, for people to showcase why they're a boss at what they do, regardless of their title. You can be a property manager, you could be a leasing professional, you can be a maintenance tech. I want to know your story. I want to know what drives you and makes you a boss of your life and your career. So if you have passions to share, others want to hear it. So let's do it. Jump on Boss Talks with me and let's tell your story. So thanks again, James, for being here. This was episode 92 of Boss Talks. Next week, we have another great show for you, and we're going to get right back to it as we head towards Apartmentalize. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.